All right, thank you for staying with State of the Nation. My guests are with me, Honorable Danson Mugatana, Senator for Tana River, Honorable Joe Nyutu, Senator for Murang'a, and Willis Otieno, Deputy Party Leader for Safina. We're discussing the looming or possibly looming impeachment of the Deputy President. And Willis, is this move ill-advised politically?
You know, as I said, number one, Kenyans don't care about Ruto or Gachagua. That's the starting point. We don't care about them because they don't care about us. But to be fair to Gachagua, as a lawyer, I believe it's my responsibility to be fair to everybody. There is no basis, there is no grounds upon which you can even discuss Gachagua before you discuss the killer of Rex. The same parliament that in the face of glaring evidence of fake fertilizer that is mixed with soil, acquitted Linturi, now is claiming a moral high ground to purport to discuss the conduct of Gachagua in light of what he said, what I call idle political talk. For you to impeach a president or a deputy, there must be national outrage. There was national outrage here over economic situation caused by William Ruto's failed economic policies. That his response led to the death of more than 60 Kenyans. He is still abducting young Kenyans. There are forced disappearance of young Kenyans. Now, that is what we should be discussing as an impeachment motion, not regarding Gachagua's idle talk. And even the time it was said was more than 1 year ago. So these people are trying to, in my view, they are trying to distract us from the core issues of the nation. And more so at this particular point, the economic challenges of the people of Kenya and the state capture by Adani. Because if you compare aura for aura, Adani and Gupta, both Indians capturing the state by going for key crown jewels of that nation. The Gupta one led to Zuma being impeached. Of course, we were going to demand of Ruto's impeachment based on the Adani state capture. Now, to deflect the attention from himself, they are bringing in now Gachagua impeachment and basing it on nonsense. We should not be discussing that. But let me say this. One thing that Kenya Kwanza needs to appreciate, and I give kudos to Gen Z, William Ruto himself was impeached on the 25th of June 2024. He has no legitimacy. All these things that he's doing is just a quest to seek legitimacy. When he was first impeached on 25th, his first response was to dissolve his cabinet. He didn't give him legitimacy. He sought Raila Odinga. At this point, he's running on the energy of Raila Odinga as part of seeking legitimacy. But he's not getting it because the legitimacy that he lost was taken away by the people of Kenya. Now, in an ideal situation, when a president is impeached the way the Kenyan people impeached William Ruto on 25th, and he brings in the opposition, you will actually expect the opposition to take the next. I mean, the president was impeached. They will share the presidency half-half. Raila deputy, Ruto president. But he doesn't want to go the full hog with his now new broad-based partner. He's now trying to deflect attention to impeach Gachagua, thinking that impeaching Gachagua will give him legitimacy. It will not.
Okay.
And more so, the only legitimacy he can get is when himself he starts answering to the sins that he has committed against the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Comparing Gachagua's sins on the people of Kenya and William Ruto's sins on the people of Kenya, I told you, he's taking illegal odious debts. Well, our debt book now is up to 11 trillion. He's superintendent over the killing of more than 60 Kenyans. He is superintendent over the forced abductions and disappearance of young Kenyans. He's failed our education system. JSS is in shambles. Our health sector is not even in the ICU. It's almost now in the mortuary. Now, those are greater sins than somebody saying, watu wa Murima, usiguze Murima.
Okay.
Kenyans don't care about Gachagua's idle talk. Kenyans care about the pain that William Ruto and his failed economic policies is causing them.
Okay. Mugatana, your colleagues are reading mischief in your censure motion. And the question was, why now? Where have you been all this time?
You know, Trevor, listening to my colleague in the
Willis.
profession, Willis, you know, I would have forgiven him, but speaking as a lawyer, you cannot lay blame on an office that does not have direct connection. In fact, the fact that he knows that you can bring a petition to the House and say the same things he's saying. You can approach the Senate, or you can approach the National Assembly and lay all these blames. You can even, I'm sure he's elected from some, he's got somebody who represents him from some constituency. In the rural or here in Nairobi, he can approach one of his MPs to tell him, file this motion of impeachment in the Senate, or file this motion of impeachment or of censure or impeachment in the two houses. But the fact that he's not doing it, tells Kenyans and those listening to us that a lot of what he's saying is just, he's speaking as a politician, you know, just talking. And, you know, even if you want to talk, I think that there should be some limits, especially when you are dealing with offices like the office of the president. I'll just say that much. On the question of timing, let me just say this. There has been a build-up over time. And people have, you know, tried to approach the holder of the office of the deputy president, you know, currently. You know, this is not nice. People are not comfortable.
Have you tried to?
Of course, but it's not a nice thing, you know. And people, and the feedback, and you know, nowadays, I don't even have to meet you physically. There's a lot of Twitter and what. There are some things you do that naturally attract attention that is in the wrong direction. Isaac Newton's laws, the third one says, to every force there is an equal and opposite reaction. To every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when you see that people are feeling there's a problem here, until the time I came to file this censure motion, it's a build-up. And I would say we were in South Africa for the sessions of the Pan-African Parliament. It's the African Parliament, and Kenya sends its representatives like the other 55 countries, except Eritrea. So we are 54. So we go there 3 times a year. So I personally said, after watching these things happening, that when I go back home on Sunday, on Monday morning I'm filing. So they have no correlation, really. But we also watched that discussion or the interview. It wasn't a person who is a principal assistant to the president who was talking about the policies of the president, the policies of government, and things like that. I think the truly and honestly speaking, as Kenyans, something has gone off the road. The Gachagua who is now has been pushing of late. It's not the Gachagua we started off with. And this censure motion is simply saying, let us go back to the line. Anyway, now I wanted to mention something about the Guptas and the Adanis. I mean the Guptas, because I'm just from there about a week ago. Now, there was a Zondo Commission in South Africa. Zondo is the Chief Justice at that time of the South African Republic. And there were issues around acquisition of public assets, you know. And in particular, there were issues around some of the prime public assets. And there was a feeling that things are not being done transparently. And I'm saying this in relation to Adani. Now, my appeal to the Minister for Transport and the Minister in charge of Treasury is that they should just flip the pages and look at what happened. Because when you were there last week, a very important person passed away. He was the Minister for Finance. He was also the Minister for Public Enterprises. That was the last position. This is Pravin Gordhan. This man was the chair of the Codesa talk, which gave birth to South African independence. This man was the Commissioner General of what you call SARS, South African Revenue Services. Mm-hmm. He had a very huge legacy to talk about. But when he died, you know what people were talking about in South Africa? The way South African Airlines was going to be sold for a song. Yeah. The opaqueness, how he was resisting coming to parliamentary committees, how he refused to reveal even the agreement that was going to give away that asset. So my appeal to the two ministers that we have, and I will use this platform to say, tafadhali, you are new ministers. You are not the authors of those deals. Just sit and say, there's a problem here. There was no public participation here, or this step was skipped. We apologize. Let's do it correctly. Okay. But if you believe that everything was done well, then stand and tell us, let me tell you, this deal is above board, and we will stand with it. Okay. And the new ministers have looked at the facts, they are good. So that when you finish with that office or that docket, we will not be talking about you only in respect of how we lost public assets when you are in office. So in relation to the Adanis, that is the point I will make. Okay. But in sincerity, this motion of censure and this motion of impeachment, they have no correlation.
They have nothing to do with each other. Okay. Joe, who is the Mount Kenya kingpin?
Trevor, I listened, I watched and listened to the Deputy President on an interview that he held with, I think, Samigi Tuko on Friday on Citizen. And I think he answered that question. Okay. And he said that the kingpin, the Mount Kenya kingpin, is a retired president, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
So then why would you say that impeaching him is akin to divorcing the people?
Yes, because, I mean, the marriage that is now there between His Excellency the President and, I mean, between, His Excellency the President and the Deputy President, I mean, the Deputy President is the one that is in office now. And so the people of Mount Kenya feel directly represented by him in government. So that if then you kick him out, then we will feel, or the people there will feel, that you have kicked the mountain out of government, and that maybe the votes there are no longer needed by you.
But why would they feel like that? And yet some of the legislators from your region have endorsed somebody else as the kingpin. Professor Kithure Kindiki, in fact, they mentioned it.
That's a very good question, Trevor. And I have no problem with Professor Kithure Kindiki. He's a good man, but he's not the Deputy President as of now. And to answer your question about the legislators that are maybe supporting the impeachment, and I'm aware that there are many, not many, but I mean a number of legislators from the mountain that are supporting the impeachment. But what I want to tell you, and this is what is there on the ground, and I believe, because the president consumes intelligence every morning, I believe the president knows that the people at this particular point in time in Mount Kenya, and these are the facts, and the people can verify them independently. Whatever is on the ground in Mount Kenya, the people are not with the legislators this time around. I mean, it is unanimous amongst the rank and file, the commoners in Mount Kenya, that the Deputy President should not be impeached. That the marriage between the President and the Deputy President should continue, and at least up to 2027. Okay. Because it's like we have a contract. I mean, between 2022 to 2027, I mean, it is President William Ruto with Rigathi Gachagua as his deputy.
So who's saying the truth in the mountain? Because there are MCAs, there are MPs, the enduring check have said that they...
I would avoid to discuss about enduring Jeke, because we also have a Kikuyu Council of Elders We call them Keama. Keama, we have Keama. I mean, there are many groupings of these council of elders.
True. So how do you determine that the people on the ground are with the deputy president and not with the other axis?
No, you just listen to the ground, Trevor. Some of us are always there. When you hear the deputy president talk about listening to the ground, it's listening to the people, commoners. I mean, you go out there, you meet some old ladies maybe in the village, and you gauge how they feel from one village to another. And these are not people who meet on social media or anywhere else. They are not influencing one another. But you find that there is unanimity in their thinking. And they believe, whether rightly or wrongly, that their man is being fought. They believe, and that is why I actually beseech the president once again not to allow this. They believe that Gachagua, they believe the community was duped into this particular arrangement because there is a perception that Gachagua is being fought. In fact, the bigger perception again is that the community is under siege. It's a dangerous thing. And that's why I say I would like to again beseech the president, whom I love personally and whom the people of Mount Kenya have no problem with, to avoid this, because it will take him to a place with the people of Mount Kenya that is not very desirable if he allows it to continue.
So in plain language, you're saying you'll vote against him should that happen?
No, not exactly. You know, I mean, it will be a divorce, like I started by saying, if this guy is impeached. And I think to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga also, I think I would also want to appeal to him not to allow his members of parliament to support this. Because again, you never know what happens tomorrow. I mean, looking at some of this, when I talk about divorce, Trevor, you know, we are also students of history. You look at what happened, we were not there, of course, but, you know, at independence, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Jomo Kenyatta, I mean, were working together. When eventually Kenyatta kicked out Jaramogi Oginga Odinga from the vice presidency, I mean, there was a problem between the two communities, which only came to be mended again in 2002. When Raila supported Kibaki, and the relationship went very well. But then there was some betrayal, in quotes, again leading to a very big difference between the two communities in 2007. I mean, and so these things. So in 1966, it was not only between Jaramogi and Kenyatta. It came to the communities. In 2007, after 2002, the same was repeated. Now, and then in 2007, there was that very big problem between the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu community, or the Mount Kenya community, which again we were able to mend in 2013, like I had said, when Uhuru and Ruto came together. And this is what led the winning also of President William Ruto in 2022. So we should not take it as a matter between His Excellency the President and the Deputy President, because I have given you a historical perspective. So when these two, just a minute, when these two now, divorce like that, it will mean the two communities. And I've given a historical perspective. So why should we go that route while we can avoid? We have an opportunity to avoid going through that.
Willis, are we simply a pretentious nation that we all pretend that there's no ethnic diversions or divisions, but it's really there?
Looking at these two gentlemen, it actually reminds me of the Kenya we used to live in.
The Kenya of the past.
This is the Kenya we used to live in.
No, don't add me there. That's why I was saying this is wrong, and then you didn't give me the floor.
If you look at what even they are all posturing for, it's about positions for politicians. Kenyans care about their welfare. They don't care about which politician is holding which position. We were here with Senator Nyuto several times. In fact, at this point, he was the one leading the chorus that Gachagua must go and Ndindi should be the deputy president. And we are telling him Kenyans don't care about that conversation. I've looked at Senator Ngatana's attendances to public meetings when Kenya Kwanza is sitting. He's a major cheerleader in that space. Sitting on the 25th, many meetings, even your parliamentary group meetings, he's a cheerleader, championing the tribal divisive politics.
Come on.
But on the 25th...
I don't think he should get away with it. No, he should give evidence. You cannot accuse me on TV that I am a cheerleader of tribal politics. Which one?
Kenya Kwanza, as Senator Newton is saying here, was purportedly anchored on 2 tribes. He's a member of UDA, unless he's defected. I mean,
so UDA is
a tribal conglomeration of tribes.
It is not.
That is what it is.
UDA came up.
Until the chicken comes.
Yes, just finish.
But the point I'm making is this.
I think this is just careless talk.
The point I'm making is this. You see, Kenyans don't care about how these people behave. We breached them on the 25th of June. That was the old, and the new is born. When Kenyans came out in their numbers, not agitating for a tribal kingpin or a tribal position, but agitating for national interest, the economic transformation of this nation. Such that if these people knew where Kenyans are, they will not even be discussing regarding Gachagua on the premise of tribe, on the premise of what he said at his shareholders. They will be discussing Gachagua on the premise of what has Gachagua done to improve or to worsen the economy of Kenya. Because that is what Kenyans care about. These jobless young men who have gone to school, have acquired qualifications, but cannot get jobs that commiserate with their qualifications, that go to sleep hungry. The Kenyans who are dying for lack of medicine in our hospitals. The JSS teachers who have not been employed on a permanent pensionable basis, being paid 17,000, you're a graduate, you've worked for more than 5 years. The Kenyans who are not able to get quality produce because the fertilizer is given to them by Kenya Kwanza, it's fake. The Kenyans who are not able to access the commensurate price of tea, coffee in the international market because they are being paid here for 80 shillings per kg, when in the London exchange, coffee per kg goes for 1,500 Kenya shillings. Now, if you were discussing Gachagua based on those parameters, then Kenyans will pay attention. But the number one purveyor of bad governance and economic malaise of this nation is not Gachagua. It is William Ruto. That is where the buck stops.
Okay.
When you are discussing the death of these 60 Kenyans who are killed by police, if you are discussing the 4 disappearances, the abductions, the torture, Bob Njagi and the Longton brothers were held for 32 days in Communicado, tortured. Their families went through hell.
Okay.
We should be discussing that and be asking who bears the greatest responsibility for these disappearances. It is William Ruto. Now, if you want to turn the national attention to discuss Gachagua, not even discussing the context of what Kenyans care about, you are discussing the context of what is said about Mulima. I mean, no one cares. Even the Mulima people don't care about Mulima. Okay. They care about a Kenya that works for all Kenyans. Okay. And it is true, as Senator Newton says, those people left Kenya Kwanza a long time ago, not even yesterday. They left long time ago. And they are looking for a leadership that will champion not Mulima interest, but national interest. Because when the economy works for Kenya, it works for all regions.
Okay. Mungatana, now your chance to respond.
You know, listening to him talking, you just feel like you are sitting with an activist. Let me tell you, you cannot be talking idealism here. In fact, what Senator Newton is talking about is more realistic than what this gentleman is talking about and claiming I'm talking about. Let me not get annoyed. Let me go and answer. Just leave it, because even he says a deputy party leader of which political party. That, you see, you have to address the issues that are current, the issues that are bothering people. When you say this issue is not important, why is it in the headlines? You know, you're talking like you're not in touch at all with what is happening in the ground. You don't know what you're talking about. That's why even we don't even know the name of that political party you're representing. You will never be able. You will never be able. You know, you will never be able to do anything serious if you're not in touch with the reality, you know?
But your reality was
So,
You wanted to start by responding to what you to say, that this will have political ramifications for the people of Mount Kenya.
No, let me say this.
Yeah.
Where we are right now, and I will repeat this for the benefit of Kenyans listening to me. We went to this election in 2022
Yes.
with the better plan, a bottom-up economic transformation plan. And we laid it out, and William Ruto sold an agenda. I remember him going to every county and saying, what are the issues here? Let us have an agreement, your county and what my administration will deliver. Let us create a synergy around the plan, the better plan. And this is what delivered the country. It was not the politics that Mheshimiwa Senator, and with due respect, is talking about. It's very sad that a single person, after 2 years in office, starts taking us back. And he has apparently convinced Mheshimiwa that now it's a Kikuyu affair, it is a Kalenjin affair, it is a Luo affair, it is I don't know what affair. That is exactly where we came from. And that is exactly where we want to get away from. And in 2022, we presented a plan. In fact, William Ruto presented a plan across the entire nation. And people understood. In fact, we were talking all the time about Mama Mboga, about the issues of the economy and what we were going to do about it. It was never about, and it is so sad, it was never about, let this tribe come together with this other tribe so that we win the election. If that was the case, then we should have gotten elders all over, not campaigns. What I have seen is that by the utterances of a single person continuously saying and discriminating against others, people have started feeling that, oh, this person is only championing one place, okay? And some of us who are not from that place have said, no, let us change this thing. Let us change, let us bring this thing back to order. But you see, and Trevor, when you say this thing is not important, you can see even a senator, a whole senator, has been recruited into that thinking that this is about a tribe and it is not about the entire country. You know, I'm saying this, that what these utterances have done, you know, consistently, they have sort of started to balkanize the nation. They started to push the nation towards a very bad area, towards the old era that Willie is talking about, where people were just talking the politics of the tribe. The old era where he was talking about in 1963. Imagine talking 1963 politics in 2024. You know, that is where these utterances have taken us to. And that is why I'm saying this censure motion, when the 47 senators sit there to talk, the person listening, I hope, will get the message that we do not want to go back to those politics. Okay. Let the next election be about somebody presenting a better plan than ours. Okay. Because we have a good plan, I hope, but somebody else may have a better plan. In the next election, someone might have the best plan. So this is what we should be talking about. Okay. And I'm sad that we can sit in a national television and talk about tribal blocks. That is the exact thing that we do not want to see happening in this country. And that is the thing where we were in 2022. When we were talking about this plan, at no point were we talking about tribe this coming together with tribe B and tribe A coming together. In fact, it is a plan that we were discussing. And the other side was also saying that plan is useless, we have a better plan. Okay. And the discussions were about what are we going to do if we take over. And that is where we need to go. Yeah. But we have come from somewhere. We have come from a place we do not want to go back to. Even in America, you will see that there are groupings. Certain states belonged to certain areas and so on, you know, because the immigrants, when they came, they went to settle, the Irish settled this place, the other people, the Germans tended to settle, the French people tended to settle in this place. Yeah. And so there was some form of tribal whatever, but many years later, the issues they discuss about, now Kamala Harris and Trump, they'll discuss about their plans on issues.
Yeah.
That is where we want to take the nation.
All right.
But you know, it is also so easy to slip down to what is familiar. You know, to go back, especially if you are an addict of some sort, it is easier to go back to what is familiar.
Yeah.
And what is familiar with Kenyans is tribal politics.
Okay.
And William Ruto single-handedly, in the last election, actually put a plan and said we are going to transform this nation in this and this and this manner.
Okay.
And that's where we want to go.
All right.
Picking it up from him, my prayer is in the next election, let us deal with this and this and this matters in this way. Another agenda or somebody else will come with a better agenda.
Okay.
I pray that even in this censure motion, we don't see it in terms of a balkanized tribe, because that's a defense mechanism. That is slipping people back. When I said that these utterances are hurting people outside the mountain area, they are making us feel discriminated against your constitutional oath. The oath wasn't taken by the entire mountain area.
Okay.
The oath wasn't taken by everybody else who is his tribe mates. So let us be, honest. Let us be honest. And the honesty bit here is somebody is trying now to whip up tribal emotion instead of answering the question.
Okay.
The question are your utterances and your conduct in keeping with your mandate, in keeping with your office?
Okay.
And if it is not, can you go back to what is correct? Now, that's what Mugatana is talking about.
Okay.
There are others who are saying, you've gone beyond rescue, so we are going to deal with you by removing you. That is what the National Assembly and others are saying.
Okay.
So those are two different issues. Answer the issues, sort the issues out.
Okay.
Don't start bringing all this and taking us back to 1960. That is, I think, is
All right.
wrong.
Joe, why is this a Mount Kenya issue and not a Kenya issue? Yet the deputy president is the deputy president for the entire Kenya.
Thank you, Trevor. And before I answer your question, I think I've listened to Senator Mugatana react to my earlier comments. And I think with due respect, Senator Mugatana is actually not realistic. So when he says that I'm talking about 1963 in 2024, I think, unless he was not listening keenly, I said it was a historical perspective. I mean, there is a reason why history is taught in school. It's because we learn from history. So when I quote 1963, quote 2002, quote 2013, that does not mean that my mind is in 1963. And I think if you listened very well, I said it is a historical perspective, that there are lessons to learn from what happened then, so that we can apply what happened then to today. In fact, Senator Mugatana is saying that His Excellency the President sold a plan, and it is true. But can he tell us why it was such a coincidence that the plan was bought overwhelmingly in the mountain and in Rift Valley than it was in Nyanza in 2022? This is not 1963. So I think he should be realistic. And whether you deny it or not, I mean, Kenya is still, Kenyans still have some very ethnic considerations. That is why when you go to Luo Nyanza, it will be very difficult for you to be elected there if you do not support Raila Amolo Odinga. I mean, that's not tribalism. It's just the nature of our politics. It's just the reality of our politics. Would Senator Mugatana, for example, be elected in Luhya land if he went there and sold a plan? He doesn't come from there. Would he be elected senator for Busia, for example, just based on a plan that he presents? I mean, we must be realistic. And Joe Newto here is not a tribalist. I cannot be tribalistic. I'm just trying to bring into perspective the reality of Kenyan politics. And Senator Mugatana here is standing on a high pedestal, trying to convince me and everybody that have been recruited into tribal thinking. Why did he invite to be senator for Tana River? and not senator for Busia or senator for Siaya, for example, because he knows you represent the people that where you come from. But now, coming to your question, and anyway, before I get there, even in the Constitution, we have a provision. I may not know exactly, I may not remember exactly which particular section, but government is supposed to be inclusive. Why do we then say that government is supposed to be inclusive? Why do we want to be as much as possible, even in the distribution of cabinet slots, for example? Why is everybody complaining that we have, I don't know how many cabinet secretaries from this region and not that region? It's because, our politics is ethnic-based. But coming to your issue, why Mount Kenya, why the issue of the deputy president?
Impeachment is a Mount Kenya issue, is a Kenya issue.
Is a Mount Kenya issue and not a Kenyan issue. It's because of the same thing that I'm saying, because that is where he comes from.
But he's the deputy president for the entire nation.
He's the deputy president for the entire nation.
There's a difference between you and him.
Correct.
You represent Moranga, so that's okay if you talk about Moranga.
Yes.
But he's the deputy president.
Yes.
So even his impeachment will have ramifications everywhere. So why are you then saying
everywhere?
But why are you saying that this will mean divorcing the people of Mount Kenya and not everybody else who elected the pair?
Because you see, Trevor, like I have said, the plan that was there when UDA sold its manifesto was largely bought in Mount Kenya and Rift Valley. And that's a fact. The two regional blocks gave the highest number of votes. And so this plan was bought more. Of course, it was bought also in other counties, like where Senator Mugatana comes from, nationally. But these were the major stakeholders that
the major shareholders.
No, you may call it even that. That bought this plan. So what I was saying, unless maybe I was understood out of context, what I was saying is, look here, there's a big community that bought into this plan. So if then, because they feel they are representative, and there is a reason why we have representation even in parliament. So this particular bloc feels that their representative is His Excellency, the Deputy President. So then by kicking him out, they feel their representative has been, kicked out. And so they will feel they have been kicked out. And it is simple. I don't know why it is getting difficult to understand. And anyway, I come from Mount Kenya. Maybe other people who come from other regions should tell us what their regions are saying. I come from Murang'a. In fact, I did not talk about any other region because I only know about the people that we represent.
So you give the perspective of Murang'a.
Exactly. Not of Murang'a, of Mount Kenya region. How? Our people,
Trevor, you can see how he's struggling.
No, I'm not struggling at all.
He's struggling.
I'm not struggling at all. Why?
Struggling.
Why? I'm not struggling. Just look at other communities also. Why would it be that if you go to Luo Nyanza, the thinking in Siaya politically will be the same thinking in Kisumu, will be the same thinking in Migori, will be the same thinking in Homa Bay? So when I say that the thinking in Murang'a is the same in Nyeri, this is something, again, historically that has been proven. This is something that has been empirically proven. I don't know why Senator Mugatana is saying that I'm encountering any difficulties in prosecuting
Can I say,
these are things that are there for everybody to see. Senator Mugatana should tell us what the people of Tana River think about this impeachment, what the people of the coast, and I think I'll give it to him if he says the coast, because Tana River is in the coast, and the thinking in Tana River could somehow be the same thinking in the neighboring counties.
Okay. Willis.
What I was going to say is this. To the credit of Senator, it's not wrong to come from Murang'a. And it's not wrong to represent what the thinking in Murang'a is. But what I'm saying, as part of that thinking, you'll find the people of Murang'a care about the economy. Just the same way the people in Nairobi care about the economy and the people in Siaya. So don't shy away from, if that's the thinking they're saying on the political front, it's okay. That's their right and they're also Kenyans. But for me, fundamentally, the pain that is felt by the Kikuyu in Murang'a because of this economic collapse of William Ruto is the same pain felt by the Luo in Siaya because of the failed economy. When we talk about jobs, and I want to throw this, to me this is very painful because I've just seen a text from a teacher, GSS teacher, that William Ruto's people were walking around certain villages, giving out JSS appointment letters to teachers. Is that not regionalism? Now, you want to penalize Gachagua because of saying shareholders talk. When you have someone who has given his acolytes letters to go and distribute to his so-called tribesmen in funerals, that should cause more national outrage than Gachagua. So we should focus on William Ruto.
Yeah.
That is where, in my community, we say fish rots from the head. Okay. This fish called Kenya is rotten from the head. And that head is William Ruto. Okay. And it's coming down. Gachagua is just but a symptom of a rotten fish.
But I wanted to say something.
I wanted to say this. What is the role of a leader? You know, if we are to define what a leader is supposed to do, you are supposed to take us in the correct direction. Hopefully a vision that will help us as your followers to go to a better place than where we are. And every time I discuss leadership, I see that snow and the wild dogs, how they move. There is the head of the pack who is moving in a certain direction and you cannot see where he's going, but he's leading the whole pack. He has a vision of where he's going. He himself has the same eyes like these other people, but he's taking them to a better place where the snow will not kill them in the mountainous Canada area. So, having created that picture, I'm saying, what is my vision as a leader from Tana River and from the coastal region? I would like to see a country which is united, a country that is non-discriminative. What Article 10 is talking about, values, the national values. If I was a deputy president, that is what I would be espousing. And I'm asking my colleague, whom I respect very highly, because he's our chair of education in the Senate Education Committee. So even as I talk to him, I am giving him his due respect. But when you are a leader and you sit on national television and say, I'm talking the reality of the politics, we are tribal, you know, then what are you doing?
Are we not, though?
No.
Realistically speaking.
Let me say this. Fortunately for me, in my county, if you talk tribal, you can't be elected in any, county position, because we have tribal blocks that are such that everyone must feel comfortable. So you have to speak the language of the unity of the people, and people must accept you as such. And now if you transform that to the national, even if your child is not doing well, say, in school or something, it is not you as a leader in that house, as a parent. It's not your business to say, oh, the reality, by the way, I think you're dumb. You don't tell your child like that. You keep telling them, my daughter, my son, let's keep improving. Actually, if you put on more hours, if you attend to your homework properly, if you listen to the teacher, this grade C can become grade B, or this grade B can become A. This is what leadership is about. So when you hear people saying that this is where we are, and does it mean we should remain there? We must mold a nation, and this is my appeal. We must mold a nation that says, I should be comfortable, in fact, to live in any part of this republic, to invest in any part of this republic, to contest elections in any part of this republic. I should, and God willing, in future, that should come to pass. Look, somebody like Hillary Clinton, the husband was a governor in Arkansas, okay? Then when he became president and whatever finished his term, she went to run as a senator in New York. And the only qualification was that show that you have residence in this place for 1 year. Now, okay, of course, America is many years older than Kenya, but that is where we should be going. We shouldn't be telling our children, no, you need to marry from this area, you need to live in this area, you need to run for politics in this area. Let us all aspire to greater things. That's what leadership is about. So when I am saying, Your Excellency, where you are going is wrong, come to where we want to go, all of us, I am saying this is where the future should be. In fact, I am sure, I've not asked Chairman Nyutu, I am sure that maybe if it is not him, it is his children who might be marrying from different areas, okay, you know, or his peers, or his cousins, or this country is changing, and we must head towards that direction. Okay. And I pray that we don't pull people backwards. In this talk that I am from this area, I am from this area, I protect the interests of this area, I am the champion of this area, it is taking us back. Okay. So we need to change to a more cohesive, more united country. And that is where we need to go.
So with the censure motion in play,
yes,
hypothetically speaking, if the impeachment motion comes to the Senate, will you support it?
Like I've said, first of all, the censure motion is awaiting approval. But impeachment does not await approval of the Speaker. Impeachment is more, it has timelines and it is more legalistic. And then it takes precedent over all Senate business. So if it lands today, it means my motion will have to go down the list. If it is balloted, it has to go down the list. Impeachment will come.
True, but because you already had concerns, now, even if this one surpasses your motion and now there's an impeachment, will you support it?
No.
Because now you already had concerns.
Trevor, let me tell you something. The evidence that is going to be presented will determine a lot. Okay? Because this is not a motion to discuss the conduct of the Deputy President. And I have said what I would say if I was on the floor of the House discussing the motion. But if it is impeachment is not a motion to discuss anything. It has to be the evidence, evaluation of the evidence. So for me, any senator who declares his stand up front, I think he's wrong. He does not have that correct. He's not doing the right thing. A judge cannot decide a case before the case has been put before him, looking at the evidence, looking at the defense, and weighing both sides. So the correct thing is for me to look at the evidence. I've given this example. When His High Excellency Governor Kawira was being brought for the second time before the Senate as an impeached person, many of us, because we caucus, having listened to the charges that the Speaker had given, we were saying this is a repeat offender. But let me tell you, Trevor, when the evidence was given there and the demonstrations were being done, you know, the demonstration of that evidence, most of us were very offended because we said that could be your wife, that could be your sister, that could be your mother. You know, we felt very offended, and people were like, ah. So in that, everything changed. So let me say this: when this evidence is brought before the House, people may have their own preconceived notions and whatever. It's not right to say them. It's not right to discuss those preconceived notions. But when the evidence is there, then you can have the opportunity to evaluate the evidence and make a logical decision. So for me, I am a judge in that case if the case comes. But on the motion, I will definitely discuss the conduct and becoming.
And Joe, I noticed earlier on you were beseeching the president and not your colleagues at the Senate to listen to this evidence when it comes, and to dissuade them from this impeachment. Why just the president? Do you think he has anything to do with this? And even if whether he does or he doesn't, do you think that his thinking is what will preside rather than your colleagues?
Thank you, and that is a very good question, Trevor. Why I say this is because we respect the president. And I know every member of parliament respects the president. And there's something that is called, and Senator Mugatana here will bear me witness, there's something that we call a party position in every matter that we vote on. And that does not apply only to the government side, it also applies to the opposition side. And that is why you will, when there is an important matter to be voted Parliament, normally we have what we call parliamentary group meetings. The minority side has that, the majority side also has that.
Yeah.
And so I want to believe that the president can be able to convince the members of Parliament more, being the party leader and being the person that is, of course, highly respected. Yeah. And that is why, Trevor, you know, we are Africans. That's why even when there is a matter that needs somebody to reconcile people, even in the village, we send wazee. Why? Because they are more respected by the parties. They can be able to convince either party or both the parties to abandon maybe an action that the wazee do not feel or do not think is right.
And if he doesn't, will that mean that he has endorsed it?
That may be in the interpretation on the ground. Because people believe that the president has sway. And they do not just believe that, of course, the president has sway, just like I've told you. Yeah. And any matters that require arbitration, of course, when the wazee want a particular way to be followed, they'll be able to convince whoever it is to follow that way. So appealing to, and that's why my appeal went to both the president and Raila Amolo Odinga, because he also has a lot of, a good number of members of parliament whom he can be able to convince. But allow me again, and you know, I respect Senator Mungatana a lot because he's a ranking member, having been elected to parliament earlier. But I did not say that we are tribal. I only said that our politics in this country, to be realistic, our politics is ethnic-based.
Okay.
And I think I clarified.
I
clarified.
Okay.
That's why, particular parties will have members elected in particular regions. Okay. So when I say that, that does not mean that I'm tribal, but I also want to commend him for having observed something very important about education and about the psychology of especially a child, what we call the psychology of child development. That when a child goes wrong, especially in a school environment, you do not tell them you cannot make it, you are useless, you encourage them that they can do it next time. Okay. But I don't think there is anywhere in my argument that I blasted any particular community. Okay. I only said that, and it was depending on the questions that had asked me, why is it about Kenya affair? I never said anything that was, against another community. I only said people elected from different areas should represent those areas. Then all of us, and I think that is a call the Deputy President has been making. All of us now come, bring what your people are saying, what others are saying. We bring it together. That's why we have Parliament, and then we come with something that is national. We come up with something.
There's a lot of feedback coming through. Then I'll come to each and every one of you. Just 1 minute each for closing remarks. Let's see what Kenyans are saying. To ski ground in Asema Aja, Trevor Mbija, Citizen TV Kenya, use the hashtag DAYBREAK. Samuel Uwot says HE Deputy President is elected, not elected. I think it's the other way around. But the office is selective, not elective. The presidential candidate selects his DP running mate. The people don't elect the DP, excuse me. Okay, Okelo Mwalimu says, I wonder whether the legislators who spend most of their energy, emotions, and resources in defending either the president or DP really understand the doctrine of separation of powers between legislature and executive. When do they serve the electorate? Who are their employers? Frank Orinde says, those who are supporting the DP should cut us the slack of making everything to be about Mount Kenya against the rest. Those who want to impeach the deputy president should be allowed to present their case, and if the threshold is met as per the constitution, then be it. National interest first. Okay? Engineer Lazaro says, piecemeal amendment of the constitution to tighten that clause that bar top national leaders from championing tribalism could be better than punitive censure motion against the controversial DP Gachagua. Frederick Okango says, impeachments are political processes that are intricately connected to law. The Constitution of Kenya has provided for the grounds and procedure of such processes. It will be interesting to test the limits of such provisions in law. Okay? And you don't say what your name is. You say impeaching Gachagua will cause a shift in political alignment leading to incessant politicking. When will the broad-based government deliver? Okay. Kelo says, whoever sympathizes with an employed politician with around-the-clock security whose bills are exclusively paid by the taxpayer for disagreeing with his boss is as idle as the painted ship upon a painted ocean. Fellow Kenyans, tuwache DP apambane na hali yake. Okay. Waithera says, DP Gachagua is a scheme man who is seen as a representative of Mount Kenya people. It will be a disappointment for the president if such a thing happen. Something also tells me that it might be a diversion from the demos going on. They must stop politics. Sir Nixon says DP Gachagua shouldn't concentrate only in Mount Kenya region economic activities. Kenya is not for tea and coffee only. It's like he forgets he's the DP of the region that produces sugarcane, that which does fish, and that which does coconut, salt, etc.
Yes.
Willis, closing remarks, 1 minute each. Just 1 minute each. We've really run out of time.
In summary,
yes,
what we must all accept as Kenyans is that Kenya Kwanza has failed. And Kenya Kwanza trying to divert the national attention to their failures to Rigathi Gachagua will not get them legitimacy.
Okay.
There is no any item in my view that Gachagua has done that will even warrant national discussion. I don't believe that Gachagua is the best, not the worst of the worst. It's like William Ruto is the worst president in this country. But don't waste our time as a nation to discuss him for doing nothing.
Okay.
Just for speaking what I call idle talk.
Okay.
But we should focus on the real issues affecting Kenyans, which is the economy.
All right.
And that economy is an economy that affects a Kenyan in Tana River, a Kenyan in Murang'a, a Kenyan in Siaya.
Okay.
When it comes to economic pain, it doesn't know your region.
Okay.
It only knows your humanity.
All right. Mugatana, 1 minute.
I say this. I'm appealing to leaders, fellow leaders. Give us your vision. If you are appointed, give us your vision and work towards that. If you make a mistake, apologize and get back to the position where you're supposed to be. Go back to track.
Okay.
Don't bring us to the old system where you are found to have messed up somewhere, and then you run to your tribal blocks.
Okay.
And then incite the tribal block. Let's get out of that old system of doing things.
All right.
You take responsibility, execute that responsibility. You make a mess, apologize, and go back. Nobody is not fallible.
Okay. Joe, closing remarks.
Thank you, Trevor. I think for me, I would just want to, because we have largely discussed about the pending or the planned impeachment of the deputy.
And you said you have intel that it's coming this afternoon.
Yes, unless things have changed. I think I would only want to appeal to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya. I know he's not in the country, but I know he follows the political happenings. To do all within his ability to stop this impeachment, because it's not going to be healthy for this country. Okay. And to appeal again to the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga also not to support this, and to beseech his members of Parliament not to support this, because it's not going to be good for the country. And Trevor, like I had said in the course of our discussion, you know, differences do come or do happen between even in a marriage. But like I had said, divorce should be the last resort, because there are children to take care of. There is the, you know, the public image that you create out there. And I think this impeachment is just bad for the country. To my colleagues, the fellow legislators in Mount Kenya region, I think I want to ask them, we cannot be, without being tribal again, because Senator Mugatana wants to accuse me of being tribal, we cannot be the region where all the political experiments are done. We cannot be the region, the only region in Kenya where we lynch our own. Because if you look at even although Parliament is independent, if you look at the impeachment proceedings against governors, the impeachments that have happened in this country, most of them, in fact, I would say over 80% of them have been happening in Mount Kenya. We must realize that either we are being used from some place somewhere, and we must learn to also love our own. Even when they are wrong, we have ways of correcting them, just like other communities do.
Okay.
We should stop fighting our own. We fought President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We should not now fight Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua.
Okay.
We must shape up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Danson Mugatana, Senator for Tana River, Honorable Joe Newtu, Senator for Murang'a, and Willie Sotino, Deputy Party Leader, Safina. Thank you so much for making time this morning on the State of the Nation. That's where we leave it for now, and thank you all for the feedback that you've sent through. Taking a quick break. When you come back, it's time now for cooking tips. Bye for now.